This week in comic books, Strange Academy, number one. No, I'm sorry. Teen Titans Academy, number one, came out this week. Completely different story. Absolutely, completely different. Not really. Also in the land of Marvel, we got Aliens, number one, came out. If you love the Aliens movie with the Space Marines and their little pew 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 guns and the little robot guy walking around being a therapist to everybody, if you remember that movie, Bubba, you're going to like yourself some Aliens, number one, because they're digging out that nostalgia like with a shovel. All that, a bunch of cool covers, some more interesting comic books. Hang on, let's run that intro and talk about it. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, super cool having you here. Today we're going to talk about some comic books, hauls, and reviews, and what we read this week, and more importantly, what did we think about it? If you have opinions about comic books that you read, please comment down below and let me know. Maybe you liked some of this stuff, maybe you didn't. This is totally superficial in my view of them. My biased view in some cases. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, hey, Action Comics is still a very heart-wrenching story. I love that cover, by the way. This is really good. So Philip Johnson is writing this, and he's kind of taking it from the perspective of, you know, a young person that's getting into that adulthood and starting to realize the frailty of a parent in this. And at the end, of course, because the Justice League Snyder movie came out, and, you know, they had Darkseid in it, guess who makes an appearance at the end of this one? And he's also got two weird-looking henchmen in it. I don't recognize them from anything else in comic book lore. If you do, please comment down below. But all in all, this was a pretty solid read. It's not really there's action in it, but it's something a little different than you would expect, this kind of perspective we're getting from Superboy. And I really like it. I think it's good stuff. Next, Teen Titans Academy. I joke at the beginning. I said it was Strange Academy. And to some degree, we know these stories are good. You take a bunch of just weird characters that normally don't fit together. You make them work together. But the cool thing is when you add a school and you add structure to it, it kind of starts like they have to get along. And we're starting to see that in here. We got the cool kids from Gotham. You know, they're kind of edgy and cool. Yeah, definitely got the little nerds, right? Yeah. And then you got like the average kid that tries to be sensible. You know, the question is, which one is Red X? They kind of hint towards this one kid or allowed your perceptions to kind of play in that direction. I don't think it's him. Funniest thing in this book, we got fat kid that can turn into a ball, and we got fat kid that can turn into a tube. Those are superpowers now in 2021. You're welcome, America. Anyway, all in all, this is not a bad read. I think this is going to be fun watching the banter go back and forth between the kids. That I'll pretty much pick up on and read. So for right now, this is definitely a keeper. Next, Harley Quinn. Hey, if you don't know, Harley Quinn was a therapist. If you didn't know, Harley Quinn's a therapist. If you don't know, Harley Quinn is a therapist. I say that because every time we pick up a book, we got to be reminded 8 times that she was a therapist. She's not a therapist anymore. She damn sure ain't licensed, and she's insane. Like she's mentally, she was in Arkham, and it's hard for her to do the right thing. So what is her thing? She must have run a support group. Why is it people that have like the impulse controls and mental issues always want to be the ones that help people? This probably reflects more to life than anything else you would read. You don't believe me? Go to a local trash bar in your zip code and hang out at the bar. And wait for somebody that's just going to come and give you the advice that's going to change your life. That's a thing. That happens. It's insane. All right. Moving on. Not a bad read, by the way. I did think this was done by Stephanie Phillips. I think she did an excellent job on it. I'm not bad-mouthing the book. I'm just making fun of the situation in this one. Would I read issue 2? Probably not. to be honest, but issue 1 was good enough for me. DC pick of the week, Batman and Superman. So this is an interesting take. So we have 2 storylines that kind of go in here. They kind of have this little film thing. They're trying to do it in kind of a noir type thing where they're mixing characters. So the perspective is it's different realities. The Spider Lady is really Lois Lane in this. Martha Wayne's back. She's the one running Wayne Enterprises in the other storyline. And of course the 2 storylines collide. Because again, for the first time, Batman and Superman are going to meet. I say it that way because that's how they ended it. So we're getting an alternate take, alternate reality, and then the real or our perception of the storyline, the con, or the red con of it all, is something's happening to a satellite and there's film wrapped around it. I thought that was kind of stupid. But for the most part, I liked this take on this. I would actually read more of that. Alfred kind of turning into Bane. That sounds fun. I want to read some more of that. So yeah, Superman Spider-Man number 16. Definitely a cool story. The Unknown Wizard was Lex Luthor. Oh, and if you were worried about, spoilers, yeah, you're watching a review. Sorry. Okay. Detective Comics. I love this new Detective Comics. So basically in this one, and it makes me laugh. I swear the artist is from Norfolk, Virginia, because the neighborhood that he lives in now, it seems like it's in like the town or Freemason Abbey area of downtown Norfolk. It's basically a gentrified neighborhood, right? Where a bunch of pseudo-intellectuals live, like reporters and professors and stuff like that. That's the kind of neighborhood he's living in now. And they have little soirees out in somebody's backyard where everybody's sipping on wine and being all intelligent and everything. And then you got Bruce Wayne there like, yeah, I can't really talk a whole lot about myself. I used to be rich. And we also picked up on and we talked about this over in Future State, where he was going to a rich man's dinner, right? Like the big benefactors and supporters of electoral mayors and stuff like that. So we kind of picked back up in there. Clown Smashers kind of came back into this. Batman's got to jump in the action, but the mayor hates visual antiism and just wants to stop it all. Cool stuff. Cool. I like this new Batman. He's building little caches all over the area, little mini bat caves everywhere, and he's making sense when he explains why it has to be this way instead of I'm just going to dig a hole in the sewer. I wonder if Croc is going to be introduced at some point since he is in the sewers. And anytime we have anything to do with the sewers, guess who's always involved? That's right, Croc, because we got to retcon that character in there as much as possible. I hate the Croc. All right, moving on to Marvel. So first off, what you need to do is, I don't cover buy a whole lot. Now, you just saw me pick up 2 covers, but I did, right, for Aliens. My wife collects Scotty Young covers, so there's your Scotty Young cover for Aliens, right? And then I got the 2 per store because the 1 per store had a lot going on. It was basically, I think, the B version, just in black and white. And this is a version 2, done in a different type of black and white. I love the shading in it. It's in Hawk Lee, I think is how you pronounce his name. But 2 per store variant, it's just kind of really cool. I really like this. It looks super clean. This is great. If you love the movie, you remember the movie in the beginning was kind of a slow burn, and then like all of a sudden, pew pew, blast blast, crunch crunch, right? Like out of nowhere. It was like being first gear in a car, and then you hit the nitrous button while you're in first gear. It seemed kind of forced, but it was so cool going so fast that you just bypassed it. This story's that too. This is the archetype of this type of story is basically the retired warrior coming back to fight, right? So we got a guy who's coming back from space. He was actually in the movie, right? Or a character from the movie, I should say. He's coming back to Earth. He wants to kind of reconcile with his son. Truth is, his son, as far as I could tell, is an emotionally manipulative prick. I think that would be the scientific term that we'll use right now. Because he kind of uses emotions to manipulate his dad so he can steal some data cards from him. So him and his friends can go back up to the space station and blow it up. Because activism or whatever their deal is, I don't know. So, but what happens is aliens are there. And somebody shuts it down and it's crazy. Like shotgun blast to the face, chest, monsters start waking up. Like out of nowhere, towards the end of this book, like things just started popping off, and it was getting crazy. And I really enjoyed the pacing of it. It was like, okay, yeah, emotional problems, got to deal with it, might have PTSD. shotgun blast to the face of some random taking over a space station. Yeah. Some would even say the pacing was off, but I don't know. I think it's supposed to be that way to bring that dread. Really good stuff, and my pick of the week. Next, Carnage. I picked up the 1 in 25 cover to this, mostly because it just looks like something. It looks like a tramp stamp. You know the thing on the back of like your lower back that they used to do in the 90s. They would call tramp. It looks like, you know, you put some wings on it, right? Like, I know you're sitting there like, oh my god, right? Okay, anyway. So this is 3 collective stories in this. One of them's not even a story, it's really a game. We get a cowboy Carnage type of deal where a sheriff's going to go battle this Carnage back in the Wild West, and it didn't work out because he ends up becoming the Wild West Carnage. Cowboy Carnage sounds good. Also, cowboys have been popping up a lot lately, like in Spawn and also, like, I think we're kind of coming to that resurgence of the West. Some cool stuff there. First story is your typical Carnage. Carnage is in love with Screech, and not Screech from Saved by the Bell, the other one. I don't even think it's Screech. Doesn't matter her name. And the sick thing is as insane as both of them are, and murderous, and just absolutely terrifying people, I genuinely think there's true love between these two people. It's kind of like finding somebody that matches your crazy and wanting to be with them forever, right? You're like, my crazy melts well with your crazy. So let's roll. That's beautiful. I should write for Hallmark. That would make a beautiful Valentine's Day card. Anyway, and the last one in here is a roll of the dice game. I just read it like it was a comic book. Hero, bad guy, you know, fighting the will, blah, blah, blah. It does deal a lot with willpower in it. How much willpower it would take to be the hero versus the villain and yada, yada, yada. So for the most part, I guess there's some meaning in it. If you didn't play the game and you just read it and read both outcomes because you cheated. Yeah, so all in all, this was okay. It wasn't particularly like over the top good because it was a bunch of short stories, which we're kind of overdoing now in comic books, I think. So I broke down and I picked up another Amazing Spider-Man. I was going to lay off the Amazing Spider-Man for a while, but then I saw this 1 in 10 cover with the new outfit, and everybody's making a big deal out of it. So I figured I'd jump back into it real quick just to kind of see what's going on. And it's that stupid story with that stupid little monster thing, Gog. G-O-G. Gog. I'm going to say Gog. Alright, when it gets mad, it kind of hulks out and tears things up. And the main part of this was get the collar back on the crazy animal because Wilson Fisk wants to start some trouble to throw people off their game. Also, this is a Romeo and Juliet story, if you didn't know. Forbidden Love. Dad convinces one character in here, Randy. That's it. Randy Robbins. Convinces him to stay in a toxic relationship when him and Dad are talking about it. Like, the girl's slashing his bag tires, and Dad, instead of like, get away from crazy old bird. No, Dad's like, yeah, you need to hang out because this is great entertainment for me. But horrible father. But come to find out, it's actually Tombstone's daughter. And Tombstone kind of has a problem with that family. And of course, that family has a problem with Tombstone. So it's a Romeo and Juliet story. Yep. All right, moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, so Guardians of the Galaxy, they beat Zeus and the gods, right? And they did it very similar to what they did in the movie. They all held hand and like gave power to a magical black hole bullet that sent Zeus tumbling through time and space. Oh wait, they all held hands in this one. It was weird. Like we didn't even get a dance off. It was like a magical black bullet. Okay, so what? Gotcha. So the Kree show up and they're like, yeah, we can't keep doing this off the books kind of mercenary group, Guardians of the Galaxy. We need to do something else here. And they're like, okay, what do we do? Well, we're going to build a Nova Corps around you guys. Right? So we got the Nova Corps guy. Then we got Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, he sits there and calls them misfits, rogues, the whole 9 yards. So my question is how is this going to work with them being part of a professional agency or organization? Right? They're rogue scouts. Now you got red tape. HR meetings. That's terrible by itself. You got rules, regulations, laws. You can't just do whatever you want. How's it going to work for our miscreant group of Guardians of the Galaxies? I don't see this lasting long. But if anything, it should be a fun, satirical poke at society, which I'll probably try to pick up some more of that more often. Once in Future is carrying on with the Arthurian law, or King Arthur lore. We'll just say that instead of Arthurian, because that might confuse some people. So, King Arthur's storylines, and several of them. In this one, Gilead turns into a Centaur. That never happened in Arthurian, but it kind of makes sense in this story what they need him to do. Think of it as a MacGuffin, right? So Gilead grabs the Grail, and he takes off. A dragon shows up out of nowhere. The dragon was sleeping under the city the entire time. And our heroes are going to ride the dragon to cut him off at the pass before he can get the Holy Grail to King Arthur, who will rain down hell on earth. That's your review. Was it good is the question. It's actually okay. When you read, this was not meant to be a comic book. And I don't mean that disparagingly. I'm not trying to insult the writers in any way. This should have been done as a trade paperback only, or a streaming channel show, right? We should be watching this or reading this. We need it continuous than what it gives us in here. Because when you review it, that's what it sounds like, what I just told you. Like, I could have laid over every detail there was, but who cares at this point? We're in issue 17 now. I would have to catch up on everything that happened up to this point to explain all the different stories about King Arthur, and even how we kind of winged Beowulf in there. And let's be honest, I'm trying to get this done in under 20 minutes. So it is what it is. Good, but crazy. And since I stopped cover buying, I went ahead and picked up this. I love this story. I've supported the Kickstarter to it. This is the gold foil cover, second print of Berserker. I didn't pick it up because I thought it was worth any money. I just picked it up because it was within my budget for this week. So I picked it up. You can check out my review on that. We'll just go ahead and stick it up here. There, it will be up here. You can check that out. Also, what's going on this week? The Evil Lair project's almost done. I got some minor things I need to do to it, and then we're going to edit the video, and we're going to ship out Huey comics from Blaster Stash It. We're going to ship them out some Wolverine claws. They're almost done. Speaking of Blaster Stash It, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the YouTubes. You can check out Blasting and Stashing Comics, where myself, Spectacular Spider Grandpa, and Huey's Comics. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about all these books. That's this Friday night at 10 p.m. Also, join our chat. Boy, do we have a good time in the chat, and we got some of the greatest people that show up into our chat, like Double S, Legion, Jacko. A lot of great people in there, a lot of good comic book knowledge. We have a great time. Grab a beer and enjoy the conversation. Definitely. Other than that, I got nothing else, guys. I got to roll. I got things to do. Bye.